So now I'm doing double work, right? So double duty where PowerPoint's working for me. I usually have Copilot doing some extra work for me as well, like looking up some facts and things like that. And then I'm on a call talking to somebody about something else. So for me, it is a massive time saver in how we think about the work that we're doing and how much research we have to do to get facts and decks and presentations out to folks. All right, hello everybody. We're back for another episode of AI Got This. And today is going to be a little bit exciting because we're going to do things slightly different. We're actually going to show some stuff today, like how we use AI in our lives and what it's doing for us. And I've got some great guests today. So Chaitra and Gina, maybe you guys could introduce yourselves really quick and say a little bit about your backgrounds, and then we'll sort of kick off and we'll do demo. It'll be super fun.
Love it. I'll go first. I'm back again. This is Gina Montgomery, and I help lead our AI automation and analytics practice here at Armanino. I'm very enthusiastic about modern work, and I'll be harping around about M365 Copilot today, so I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Chaitra?
Hey everyone, Chaitra Agastya. I recently joined Armanino. It's my first podcast. Thank you, Carmel, for inviting me. Super excited to be here. I'm very passionate about AI, so much so that I have AI in my name. So that's Chaitra.
I love that.
I know. So, and I'm helping Armanino go to market with data and analytics along with Gina and Carmel. Super exciting times. My background has been in AI and automation, and I've worked for a few consulting firms that have been doing a lot of amazing stuff, and I want to bring all of that back to you. So today I'll be discussing some very good techniques that I use personally with Copilot and frameworks for prompting that will really help you get through the day.
I love that. This is exciting. So we've been doing this podcast for about a year, and we've talked to a bunch of people about AI and how they're using it, and it's been super informative, I think. But we haven't showed any AI on the show yet, which is what I'm excited to do today. So I'm also going to show a little AI today in how I use it to create PowerPoints and do searches and all that good stuff. But you want me to go first this morning? How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, let me share my screen here. All right. So I'm going to go into PowerPoint, and I was fortunate enough this last week to be at the Porsche Driving Center, which was super fun. But I'm going to show you how to create a PowerPoint using Copilot. So you can see our prompt here, and I'm just going to type in here, can you please create a deck on Porsche and how they are using AI in their cars and manufacturing plant. Maybe a little history. All right, so we'll kick that off. And so now it's going to generate the topics in terms of like the slides and the order and some high level content for me. So there we go. We've done that. And when we think about blank page syndrome, I love this tool to help really get out of that blank page syndrome. I don't know how many of you, I mean, before this came along, I would stare at a PowerPoint for, hours going, what am I going to write here that's going to be interesting? And it's just a complete time suck, right? And then you do a bunch of research on your own, and you'd have to figure all this stuff out. And it's, while you can do that, this is going to happen in seconds, right? And what a time savings if you had to do a PowerPoint on Porsche and talk about what they're doing from an innovation perspective. And here we go. Now, I will also tell you that AI is not perfect, right? So we can come in here and you can see that there's a Tesla. So not exactly perfect, but that's okay. We can we can swap the images out. I think what's important here is we can look at, there's some there's some facts in here about what they're doing and the kind of Porsche and motorsports and how they're looking at cutting edge technology and innovation, what they're doing in the industry, how they're doing their manufacturing. And all of this was just done. You guys watched it in seconds, right? And I didn't have to go do a bunch of research on Porsche and what they're doing with AI. So I think that's pretty cool. And I will tell you that the way that I use this, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing now. You saw it. The way that I use this is I go in, if I have to create a deck for later that in the day or tomorrow, I will typically go do exactly what I just showed you and then get on a meeting. So now I'm doing double work, right? So double duty where PowerPoint's working for me. I usually have Copilot doing some extra work for me as well, like looking up some facts and things like that. And then I'm on a call talking to somebody about something else. So for me, it is a massive time saver in how we think about the work that we're doing and how much research we have to do to get facts and decks and presentations out to folks, which is where I spend the bulk of my time these days. What do you guys think?
Yeah, huge time saver for sure. I also suffer from blank page syndrome. But yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think fact checking always helps, just making sure all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted. And it's a great place to get quickly started and without having to waste too much time creating the deck and all that stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. Gina, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm going to show a fictional scenario today from a fictional company called Contoso Manufacturing. And in my day life here at Armanino, I speak with a lot of clients, often in the C-suite, and we're trying to really dig in and solve big problems and transform businesses. And right now, generative AI is a hot topic. So in this demo that I'm going to show you, I have an email coming in, and let me share my screen, from Michael Chen, who is the CTO of this fictional company, Contoso Manufacturing. And Michael has sent me a very long email. Okay, so Contoso's thinking about how can I leverage generative AI in the manufacturing industry. He's clearly done his research. He's thinking about, what he wants out of a generative AI solution. He's thinking about what benefits and ROI might be there. This is a really long email. While it's fantastic, I'll often get, 100 emails in a day. So I have to read, through all these things, and it can take a lot of time. So what I might do, like right out of the bat with something like this is ask for Copilot to summarize it for me. I might also ask it to draft something. So I'm able to do that just by going into Copilot and asking it to do that for me. So if I wanted to just quickly right away, knowing that Michael's wanting to have a conversation, I can say schedule with Copilot, and it's going to prompt the meeting invite with him already in the to line, and then it's going to write me an agenda, right? So it took a summarization from the conversation of the email for me right here, and it went ahead and put bullet points in the invite. So now this saved me a ton of time because I didn't have to go scraping through the very long email looking for the key points. The summaries right here. And I'm able to look at this and obviously edit it. Like I wouldn't send Michael a summary that said Michael did this, right? So I might edit this just a little bit, but it gave me like a starting point, like right there. So I think that's fantastic because it gives me an opportunity to quickly schedule a meeting without having to like get through the entire email. So those things are always great. The other thing I could have done is just clicked right here on Summary by Copilot just to get a quick synopsis of what was in the email. So I can look there first and then hit that Schedule with Copilot button and get a meeting invite going right away. So the next thing I'm going to do is actually pop on over to Copilot Business Chat. So this is part of M365. You can see it in the left-hand ribbon of my M365 instance. And this is kind of your Copilot dashboard, a place where you can go and put particular prompts in here for anything you can think of. It searches across your entire M365 instance because everything's powered by the Microsoft Graph when it comes to M365 Copilot. So I'm going to actually give a prompt because now that I've done this meeting invite with Michael at Contoso Manufacturing, I probably want to check a few things about the company. So in this example, since this is fictional, I went ahead and uploaded a fictional annual report. Oh my goodness, if I can talk. So what I'm going to tell Copilot here is I'm going to say, summarize, and I'm going to hit the backslash, and that's going to pull up some documents that I can quickly choose from. So here's that fictional annual report I was talking about. Summarize the annual report and point out any specifics on Contoso's IT spending. Okay, so I'm just going to hit that and let Copilot quickly read through that email. And now it's giving me a lot of information pulling straight out of their annual report. And I can see financial highlights, operational highlights, so on and so forth. And as I go through this, at the bottom, I can see what those IT spending specifics were. So just like that, I was able to quickly surface what's going on in their spending when it comes to IT. And this might be helpful because Michael was telling me he wanted a conversation about how generative AI can impact his business in the manufacturing industry. So this for me was fantastic. So cool, I've got that going now. The last thing that I'm going to ask Copilot to do to prepare for this meeting is I'm going to ask Copilot to create a bulleted list of notes for the upcoming, oh my gosh, if I can type today, meeting with Contoso. Using recent email threads, okay, that I've had with them. All right, so that's part of the prompt. And then I'm going to say, also prepare a script for the upcoming call. So here I am trying to get better prepared for this discussion with Michael. He's the CTO. I need to have my T's crossed and my I's dotted. So here are the notes. What it's doing is it's telling me that we've had several email exchanges, and it's going to give me that key discussion points for the call script. So up here it says, that we've had a few emails. So thank you for your excellent Copilot session at the Digital Manufacturing Conference. So Michael sent me an email. Also, he was in my session where I was talking about Microsoft 365 Copilot. You can see that there's reference numbers next to it. So you can click right into that. That will actually take you right into that particular email thread. So again, it's just a quick way to get in and out of things, discover information quickly without having to go, searching around in your inbox. So I can quickly get to that email. So there's that email. There was another one that he was asking me about a Copilot implementation. And then that first one that I showed you earlier. So they've summarized all of this, and then it gave me a great call script. So now I have something prepared for. I had my meeting invite summary made. I was able to go research the company quickly and get some key points. And now I've got a call script and I'm prepared for the call. So I just wanted to show how M365 Copilot can save a ton of time, depending on what your persona and role is in your organization. This is how I use it. Any thoughts from the team?
So how long would it have taken you to do these, the discussion points and that research if you weren't using Copilot, would you say?
Yeah, I think it relates to all the context switching that I do all day, right? So like I might have 20 things on my to-do list for today. Michael might have sent that email on top of it, right? And I don't want to leave him hanging. So if I were to not use this, I would have had to spend time reading it. Could have taken me an hour to really digest what was going on and think about what I might want to put in the discussion. And then I'd probably have to hit the web and figure out what, annual report information might be out there. I need to summarize it because, annual reports can be very lengthy. So
Yes.
Pulling out the key points from that could take another hour or two. And then we have to figure out what we're going to do for the call script. And that doesn't always happen. Like sometimes there's just not enough time. If Michael wanted to talk tomorrow, I might not have been able to even be as prepared as Copilot made me. So I think there's some hours savings in there as well as just producing better results.
I love that. I love that. Chaitra, what do you think?
I love this one. This is particularly my favorite, especially when you have to dig through so many emails just to understand what's happening when, especially when your day is so full, you're traversing between different things and you tend to forget, oh wow, there's this one particular point was supposed to know and get you really prepared for your meeting. You can have more productive meetings. This is absolutely my favorite, especially the Outlook Copilot. It can take you places. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I love it. Okay. Well, Chaitra, you're up. What are you showing us today? I'm so
Oh my
excited.
gosh. I'm going to build on what Gina just shared. And actually, I'm going to take you through some prompt frameworks. I'm sure everybody's familiar with different ways of asking questions and then how can you really modify the way you ask questions using these common frameworks that are out there. I'm sure people using ChatGPT have their own way of asking questions, but in my line of work, which I do around trying to help customers solve business challenges, especially around data and analytics, right? They have a lot of data governance issues. They have a lot of data quality issues. And then they want to do AI projects. And you know what happens when you have bad data? You have bad
Yep.
AI. That's a good problem to have to solve right now. But then sometimes I'm trying to figure out what's the message I want to really send, right, to our customers. So it's very unique to my role and I use it very often. And to do that, because the space of AI is evolving so fast, I'm always constantly checking in with Gartner or Forrester or other organizations that provide benchmarking data for me or provide
Yeah.
guidance. And we use that to help our customers get through whatever challenges they have. But a lot of times I'm faced with reading tons and tons of documents around this. All I need is to extract that key information, compare it with my best practices, and come up with a unique story point. So what I'm going to show you today is actually leverage M365 Copilot. And I'm going to use a prompt framework and I'm going to talk about these prompt frameworks first. And then I'll tell you how it's going to help me, especially my favorite one in analyzing a document and extracting what I need from it. Everyone
Okay.
ready for that? Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let me share my screen over here and let's see. Okay. Oops. All right. I'm still getting into it. Okay. So, one of the common prompt techniques, and you've heard of a lot of these prompt techniques, is RISE. What is RISE? RISE is imagine you're a unicorn and you're walking through the forest and you encounter this magical mushroom, right? And you somehow consume that magical mushroom and you become a giant unicorn dinosaur or something like that. So you are putting in the role. You're trying to say you're in this role, and here's the input I'm going to give you. Here are the steps I need you to iron out for me, and here's the expectation from this, right? And I use that so often because I'm trying to convince my CFO or CIO or CDO on, hey, how do I actually give this to that person so that they can actually broadcast it to their larger organization? And often I'm posed with industry specific challenges, right? So
Yeah.
in a specific industry, I'm going to take retail. All right. I'm working with a retail client, and the retail client has some technical challenges. And one of the biggest challenges they have is they're working in silos. And because they're working in silos, it's really impacting how they make decisions around data governance. All right. So I need to really convince the CIO to invest in good practices to help them achieve better data governance. And the CDO has contacted me, Chaitra, can you help me with those steps? And I'm trying to think, okay, yes, absolutely. So here it is. This is what I'm going to give to the CDO so he can present, or he or she can present to the CIO and talk about best practices. And I'm going to leverage a Gartner article, which is publicly available, to help me sort through this. So I'm using the RISE framework. It's a prompt framework that I commonly use in my line of work. So I'm saying, imagine, right? This is the role. Imagine you are the chief data officer of a retail store in the US, right? And then now you
Mhm.
have some inputs. And I like to put some challenges in there as well. And this is where I bring out another framework and I'm combining frameworks. The other framework is problem, agitation, and solution. What that means is, hey, there's some agitation in the company, and if you don't do this, there's negative consequences, right? So I'm going to bring that framework also into this framework. So imagine you're a chief data officer of a retail store. You are facing challenges with decision making because, and this is exactly what the CDO shared with me. He said, I'm facing challenges because of different groups working in silos. Okay. Using this file, remember Gina showed you what file? Like use the back tab, and then I'm going to go to my files tab. I'm going to say upload from this device. And actually I kept a few of those ready for us. I'm going to upload that. Using this particular file, list some key steps I can provide to my CIO around decision-making best practices with the intent of better data governance, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I want to make sure it's heading towards the overall objective of data governance. All right, let's see what happens now.
I love this. I love that we're asking the question in such a specific way, right? And I love that
Yes.
you combine the frameworks. That's awesome.
And so it kind of gives me these key items that I want to take from this particular. You can attach a few more files as well. There's a limit to number of files you can attach there, but you can put in some files and say, you know what? I need to really understand these best practices. I'm going to make sure I go through those using that document. But when I'm having a conversation with my CIO on why we're having these decision issues or paralysis, I know exactly what's happening. I need to build a competency inside. I need to make sure everybody's aligned on it. Sometimes misalignment can cause decision issues. And once we track all that and show this is the KPIs we want to measure against, it's easier to have those conversations and provide those recommendations. So again, it gives you some more additional prompts on how you can, make that more curated towards your experience. But I love this framework. So I use a little bit of that agitation. What happens if this does not? I use the RISE framework. So there are many other frameworks. So if you need an idea of what other frameworks could be out there, reach out to me and I'm happy to guide you through like a nice cheat sheet of all the frameworks for prompting.
I love that. This is great. I mean, when you guys think about this, I mean, we're in such an incredible time right now that we're getting to use natural language to communicate with documents. I mean, that's kind of an incredible thing. How else do you guys see your clients using AI today?
That's a great question. I think a lot of times there is this fear that AI will take over whatever you're doing, right? I think that's once you get rid of that fear index, it becomes more of an augmentation into everyday work, right? Even if it is personal. Like, for example, I had a schedule of my kids across volleyball, swimming, and all of that. And I said, can you just compare these schedules and tell me which days they're overlapping, right? And
Yeah.
that's a great way for us to leverage AI to make our lives easier versus having to spend 5 hours trying to compare schedules. Same with meetings. It's like, hey, find me the best spot where I could have focused time. What could be those days where I could really benchmark those, right? I think
Yeah.
that's another way we can augment AI into our everyday life.
I love that.
Yeah,
What
I'd
about you,
agree.
Gina?
I would say that, as consumers, it was kind of like, I don't know, 10 years ago when crowdsourcing was the thing, right? And we started getting all these apps, these SaaS apps that we were using in our personal life, like Waze, right? When Waze came out, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, we're crowdsourcing, so we know how to avoid traffic. Everybody was using SaaS apps and then started to do that on their own to get their jobs done until jobs caught up with it, right? I think we're in that era right now with generative AI and all these tools like ChatGPT and Copilot and all these things that are out there. If those things aren't becoming available to the workplace, end users are finding tools on their own as consumers to do the work anyway. So there's that piece of it. And I also think, too, for those that are a little reluctant or haven't adopted that yet, just learning a new way of working doesn't take long, right? So once they've learned how to write a good prompt and the results they can get, and they see this, then it becomes natural for them, and we start to see more adoption. So they trust it better, like what's the sentiment around it? Like, am I able to find things that I need? Can it help me with blank page syndrome? Can I create a better email tone this time? There's things like that, but it just takes it depends which side of the house you sit on. Are you going shadow AI, or are you a little reluctant still? So I think we're still sort of split today in most organizations.
Yeah, I agree. I think the three of us do a lot of talking about AI across the country, and I think one of the things that we talk about on a regular basis is if you're reluctant, just go play with it a little bit. Like I actually had it curate. I'm going to Japan for Thanksgiving, so I had it. Okay, tell me all the fun things I should be doing in Japan, right? And it gives me a beautiful list. So if you're not ready to adopt it at work and have it do the things that we just showed you, which by the way are really cool and you should totally dive in there. But if you want to play with it more, play with it on your personal life. Have it help you create a recipe. I had somebody say that they were going to use it to help write their uh, graduation, right? Like use it for those kinds of things. But I think we're in this space where everybody needs to start playing with it because it is going to be the norm. And I've said this on this show before, but I'll say it one more time. My mother actually said to me, "I hate AI," and I was like, "Well, that's fascinating because you have a Ring doorbell that you talk to on a regular basis." And she went, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, and you also have Google. You have a Google machine in your house that you also talk to and make it play music for you every day." And she's like, "Oh, okay. I guess I don't hate it." I'm like, "Yeah." So we're doing all kinds of things in our personal lives that and AI has been incorporated in consumer products, and you're using it, and you may not even realize that you're using it. And so I think we're getting to that point where it's going to be baked into our work life as well. And so how do we get used to that, and how do we do this in a responsible and safe way? And I think that's sort of the key, right? Like let's be responsible. Let's have rollout plans. Let's help educate folks on how they use these tools to enrich their work life and make it easier for them to be more productive because we're all being asked to do more with less time, right? So, okay. Any final words from you all about using AI or fun tools that you want to share with the audience?
Well, I just want to echo about responsible AI. I think it's so important. I think I second, Carmen, what you said. A lot of that fear is because of lack of information. So go
Yeah.
educate yourself, go try it out, and use it responsibly, and share what you've learned with others. And that will really help us, develop this trust in the AI system. And you are an important part of that trust. You have to give it feedback. You have to nurture it. Otherwise, it's as good as bad AI. So we all want good AI to help us.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
I think my parting words too will just be around success when it comes to rolling something like this out. Organizations that are finding success in adoption have a structured approach. It's just not one of those things where you just turn it on. While you can play around with consumer AI products, when it comes to the work life, there's some guardrails you need to have set around it. You also need to make sure that you're grouping users in a way that they can build community and excitement around how it's changing their day-to-day work lives. So there's also that. And then adoption, right? Like you have to be intentional about how you teach it to use. There's a variety of ways you can do snackable trainings and workshops and really trying to build out business value frameworks and things like that. Having a structured approach will make your rollout successful. And if you want to talk about that anytime, let me know.
Yeah, I completely agree with both of you, and I think it's the smart way to do that, right? Organizations aren't going to see the benefits that are touted about AI unless they're using it responsibly and have a rollout plan so that everybody's educated and knows what to do.
Yeah.
Well, listen, loved having you both on the show today. Thank you so much for sharing the demos with us. I think it was super exciting. Appreciate you both. Look forward to, Thanksgiving's coming up, so look forward to y'all having a good holiday. And our next podcast will be with Ryan Prindville and Jeremy Sirkowski, and we're going to wrap up the year So it should be exciting. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.